Okay, so maybe you never thought about it like this, but your credit is a weapon. That's right, it's a weapon. It can make you powerful. It can protect you if you get into a tight spot. It can help you conquer when you're trying to achieve your financial goals. But just like any other weapon, if you don't understand it, you don't know how to use it, it could end up hurting you. And that's what happens to a lot of people, especially people in the community where I come from. They end up in that second category. They don't understand credit. It ends up hurting their situation even more. We want to fix that problem today. So today, we're going to talk about the 5 factors that affect your credit score. What's up, YouTube? My name is Ivory Orr. I just want to welcome everybody to the grind. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I've run nightclubs, bars, restaurants, a consulting company. I've run a marketing firm. You name it, I've done it. But that's not to say that I haven't made mistakes along the way. Like a lot of people, I had to learn a lot of things the hard way by trial and error. And one of those things I had to learn the hard way was credit. I learned how to fix credit by having to fix my own credit because I screwed it up back when I was in college before I even understood what credit was, what it even really meant to my life. So in having to fix my own credit, I picked up some knowledge and I just want to share that with my community. Now, let's just jump right into the 5 most important factors that affect your credit. So number 1, and the biggest factor, the one that everybody always talks about, and rightfully so, is payment history. All right? Whether or not you pay your bills on time. Payment history makes up 35% of your credit score. 35% of your score is simply whether or not you pay your bills when you're supposed to. Now, what constitutes a late payment? In the eyes of the credit bureaus, it's 31 days. If it's 31 days, on that 31st day, it's late and it's going to hit your score. So now if you're late, you maybe let's say 2-3 days, right? It's not going to affect your score, but yet it still may affect you with the company that you're dealing with because they may hit you with late fees and things like that. But for the credit bureau, 31 days. But either way, you don't want to get to that. Pay your bills on time without exception. That's the only way you're going to keep your credit on track. The second factor that affects your score is credit utilization. How much of your available credit are you using, right? This affects about 30% of your credit score, okay? How does this affect your score? Well, this is the one that trips a lot of people up because the short answer is it depends. What does it depend on? Well, it depends on what percent of the available credit that you have to you that you're using. Let me give you an example, make it clear. Okay, so you got 2 people, all right? They both have credit cards, all right? Person number 1 has a credit card with a $1,000 limit, all right? But it's Christmas time, he got a wife, baby mama, side chick, he got to buy all of them gifts, so he blew through that whole $1,000. He maxed out that $1,000 card, right? He's using 100% of the credit that he has available to him, right? And that is going to kill your score. The higher the percent of your usage, the worse your score is going to be. Now, on the other hand, person number 2 spends the same $1,000, right? But their credit card limit was $10,000 to start off with, right? They're only using 10% of their available credit. And that person is going to have a great score. Now, people argue about this all the time, about how much you should use each month. Well, the rule of thumb is you don't want to use more than 25 to 30% of the available credit that you have, right? So if you have a $1,000 card, you don't want to use more than $250 to $300 of that card each month before you pay it off. The third factor that affects your credit is your average age of your credit accounts, or some people like to call it your credit history. This just means how long you've had a credit account open, all right? So the longer it's open, like for instance, the longer you've had a credit card, the higher your score is going to be. All right. Some people, I hear people tell me this all the time. Yeah, man, I'm trying to fix my credit, so I'm gonna pay this card off, and then as soon as I pay it off, I'm gonna close it, and I ain't gonna have to worry about that thing no more. And as soon as they say it, I'm like, no, bro, like you're having the opposite effect of what you're trying to do. Like, you're trying to raise your score, but you're hurting it. Why? Because the longer you have that account open, the better your score is going to be. Now, you could say, hey, I'm not going to use that card anymore. You know, I'm not going to put any more money on that card because, you know, it has too much interest, so for whatever reason, okay? But you just have to be disciplined to have it but not use it, because the longer you keep that card open, the better your score is going to be as a result. All right? So, number 4. So number 4 is only 10% of your score, but this one happens so frequently that it still gets a lot of people in trouble. It's 10%, and it is applying for new credit, otherwise known as inquiries. All right, people running your credit. That's what I'm talking about, right? And it's a big pet peeve of mine, and I'm not trying to knock anybody's hustle, but when you go try to buy a new car, and before you can even pick the color of the car you want, the salesman is trying to run your credit, right? Now they're doing that for a couple of reasons. One, because, you know, in many car dealerships, they make more money off the car loan than they actually make off the sale of the car. And number 2, they don't want to spend an hour wasting time looking at a car that they can find out later that you can't afford, right? So they're trying to get it out the way right up front. But do yourself a favor. You need to know your score before you even walk in the door. You should never let anybody run your credit before you're absolutely sure you want to buy the thing that they're running it for. And you're absolutely sure that when they run it, that you're going to get approved. How do you know that? You need to be checking your score. Now, people ask, hey, if I check my score on Credit Karma or freecreditreport.com or one of these sites like that, is it going to hurt my score? No. You checking your own score via one of those sites, just like or a lot of people's banks through their online banking, they offer you to be able to see your credit score. A lot of credit cards, if you have a credit card, you can go online and see your credit score, right? None of those things hurt your score. But when people run your score for the purpose of making a purchase, that is a hard inquiry, and it hurts your score. It takes about 2 to 5 points off your score, and it takes 2.5 years for each of those inquiries to fall off, right? So never let anybody run your credit unless you're absolutely sure that you want to buy it and that you're going to get approved. Because if you get denied, that also hurts your credit. All right, so moving on to the last and final factor. So the last factor that affects your score is also 10% of your score, and it's the types of credit accounts that you use. The types of credit accounts that you have, right? All right, now there are a few different types of credit accounts. The first one is revolving credit. All right, that's when you decide how much credit you want to use. You decide how much of that you want to pay back, and then you pay interest on whatever you did not pay, right? So basically we're talking about credit cards. Credit cards is the biggest example of revolving credit, right? The next type of credit is installment loans. That's your mortgages, that's your car loans, right? Anything that starts off with a large amount that you pay off over time in installments, that's an installment loan. Now those things, they're not bad for your credit, but they're usually tied to major life decisions, like, you know, getting a 30-year mortgage is a big deal. So you're gonna be real careful how you approach that, right? But this last one, a lot of people don't pay as much attention to, but it can definitely hurt your credit. And this is called an open credit account, an open credit account. All right, so that's your cell phone bills, like your utility bills, things like that. When a company charges you, usually for a service, each month, and you pay it each month. It's no interest involved. They give you something, you pay for it. That's what it is. Netflix, you know, that's an open credit account. Now, the bad part about these types of accounts is They don't really help your credit, but they can hurt your credit really easily, right? It doesn't help you to go buy a new iPhone. And you could have an iPhone for 20 years and it ain't gonna help you with your average age of accounts, right? But if you don't pay Sprint for that iPhone bill, if you don't pay Verizon or whoever you have, then it can definitely hurt your score because of payment history. So it's one of those bad occasions where it doesn't really help, but it can definitely hurt you. So you want to stay on top of that. All right, that was the 5 factors that affects your credit score, and I hope it helped you gain a better understanding of the subject, and I hope it's a blessing on your life financially. If so, do me a favor, click that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time I drop a new video. I'm working on some new stuff right now. I'm definitely working on a video to help people who've already messed up their credit, to show you how to fix it. And even if it's good, how to make it better. I also got a video coming with some secret credit hacks, some credit tips that people don't want to teach you, but that's more on the advanced level. This one was for the beginners, but I got tons of more video coming, entrepreneurship, real estate, you name it. So thank you for tuning in. Once again, my name is Ivory Orr. Welcome to The Grind. This is Minding Your Biz.